Now we are going to discuss about the topic methods, approaches and techniques of teaching English. So, before entering into that, we will know the definition and why what is method. So, method is an overall plan and it is an development towards coming to the approach part. It is an advanced part for the approach. So, by looking into this we have different methods like grammar translation method, bilingual method, direct method and the Dr. West new method. So, now we are looking into the bilingual method. So, the word itself is indicating bilingual, means here it is indicating taking help of two languages, whether it may be regional language or mother tongue along with this English language. Bilingual, both the languages will be considered in this bilingual method. So, here the first this was advocated by the 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧. So, the bilingual method term was first introduced or advocated by 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧. He advocated this method. So, in this bilingual method, this is a product of experiments conducted in Wales by its originator Dodson. So, the bilingual method aimed at developing general proficiency in language and place special emphasis on developing vocabulary. It is especially focusing on the developing vocabulary. So, often the learners face difficulty in monolingual class when they come across in a difficult word. So, when the teacher offers the meaning in the target language without using the mother tongue, often the learner will fail to grasp the meaning. So, here based on this this method was introduced. So, here the learner should not feel any difficult in learning the new terms. So, by focusing on this, the bilingual method was introduced by 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧. So, here this method is making the student to speak and write fluently and accurately in the target language. So, the bilingual method is majorly focusing on the students or the learners to speak and write fluently and accurately in the target language. As we in the direct method also it is focusing on the target language, whereas coming to the bilingual method also it is focusing the student to speak and write fluently and as well as the accurately in the target language. So, the practice begins with learning, like it is going to start with from the words and later followed by the imitation of sentences. So, directly the learner cannot speak sentences in a proper way. So, to get the sentence as very perfect, they should be have awareness of the words, what type of words we have to use, where one particular word should be used. These clarity should be there with the learners. So, the practice begins with the learning words and later once they have perfect with the words, later they can follow the sentences in a proper way with an accurate, and this method facilitate the learner to converse fluently in both mother tongue and the target language. So, like in the grammar translation method also we are taking help of mother tongue to translate the sentences, and with the help of mother tongue they are translating from English to Telugu or from Telugu language to English or any other regional language. So, coming to this bilingual method is also facilitate the learner to converse fluently in both the mother tongue and the target language. So, by this we have some advantages as well as the limitations with all the methods. So, by this bilingual method it promotes both fluency and accuracy. So, the language main intention is whatever they learned in the classroom as a part of subject or as a part of their practical experience, that should be promoted or that should be delivered to the peer group or with others. Okay. So, like this is also focusing on or promoting with the fluency and accuracy. Once the child is having on the target language with the fluency as well as accuracy, they will have command over all the subject, and the same time it saves the time of the teacher, because here we are taking help of mother tongue to explain the target language. So, here I think this is not going to take much time to the teacher, so that it is going to save the teacher's time, because whenever they are feeling difficult or whatever the word they are feeling difficult to explain, at that time they are taking help of the mother tongue. So, this is going to save the teacher's time, as well as it does not require any teaching aids. So, here it is not focusing more on the teaching aids. So, these are the major advantages by this bilingual method. So, coming to this limitations. So, here as we discussed in the advantages part, it does not require more TLM, teaching learning material is not required, but to make the classroom as very effective, we have to use TLM. So, the TLM is very important to in the classroom. So, this method is not useful for the young learners. Those who are the young learners, this method may not be useful. Why? Means here they are depending on the mother tongue or the regional language. So, obviously, the student or the listener or the learners may not having serious towards the English language or the target language, because they are going to take advantage of the mother tongue. If they want to explain anything, definitely they will take help of the mother tongue. So, that will be a limitation for this bilingual method. Coming to next limitation, this method fails to answer the needs of the learner. So, exactly the learner's need is here developing the English language or communication should be in English. So, here they already depended or taking help of mother tongue. So, automatically they are not going to know or they do not have any need to speak in English. So, this is also one of the drawback to the learner. So, these are the major limitations and advantages by this bilingual method. So, coming to next, Dr. West's new method. This is known as Dr. West method also. So, here this was the result of a series of experiments conducted by Michael West. So, in this Michael West, he focused more on or especially it is confined to the Bengal province. Today it is West Bengal and Bangladesh of British India. So, the method was the result of a series of experiments conducted by Michael West, who worked as a school inspector in this region during the early 19th century. So, the initiation was taken by Dr. West in the century of 19th century. So, he had an hypothesis that the Indian learners needed more of reading skills than oral skills. He is having an assumption that the Indian learners need more reading skill than the oral skill. So, that once they have command over the reading skill, definitely they can communicate or they can express for the oral skills. So, his Dr. West's new method is focusing on the reading of the textbook, or reading skill is more focused here. So, he introduced new vocabulary and in a graded manner, maintaining a ratio of 1:40 words, teaching one new word for every 50 words. He targeted or graded or maintaining the words for every 50 words, one new word should be introduced. Why? Here especially he had done lot of effort in grading manner or maintaining a ratio by introducing new vocabulary. So, here he had given a ratio. Dr. West had given a ratio for the Dr. West new method by giving 1:50 words or teaching one new word in every 50 words. So, that it is going to create more interest towards the words. At the same time, he focused more on Dr. West also believed that it is an while developing reading skills, text had to be produced using by controlled vocabulary. He produced around the list of 2000 most frequently used words. Dr. West produced around 2000 most frequently used words from a corpus of 10 million words. He produced around 2000 most frequently used words from a corpus of 10 million words. So, the list is to be generated, or it is called as the General Service List of English Words, GSL, General Service List of English Words. So, this was the effort given by Dr. West by introducing his method. So, he had done lot of effort by introducing the graded manner of maintaining 1:50 words, as well as around he developed 2000 most frequently used words. So, based on this, the method was named as Dr. West method. Coming to the features. So, this Dr. West method is also known as the textbook method or reading method. So, already he had done an hypothesis, or he had done a lot of effort by focusing on, first of all, the language should be, or Indian learners needed more of reading skill than oral skill. So, that was a major initiation behind introducing this method. So, obviously, this method is giving more importance for the textbook method, means here the learners should read the textbook thoroughly. So, this is also known as reading method. So, the textbook is very important as per this Dr. West method. Coming to the while developing reading skills, text had to be produced using controlled vocabulary. So, here the vocabulary is very important part as a part of language teaching, as well as developing the reading skills. So, coming to the advantages by this Dr. New method, West New method, it is focusing on reading skills than oral skills. So, it is totally focusing on reading skills, textbook reading or reading method. The other name for this is reading method. So, this is focusing on reading skills rather than oral skills, and it is giving exposure to reading, because he is having an intention, or is having already a hypothesis that the Indian should be get perfect with the reading skill. Once they have perfect with the reading skill, definitely they can develop their oral skills. And the next one is learner can develop the skills independently. Once they are thorough with the reading skill, once they have done a habit of reading textbooks, definitely on their own without taking help of anyone, they can share or they can learn anything. These are the major advantages. Coming to the next limitations by this Dr. West method, only one skill, that is already we discussed, that is only reading skill is more emphasized here. And the next, silent reading and faster reading are difficult to monitor by the teacher. So, the reading skill can be developed through silent reading as well as the loud reading and faster reading. So, here the intention of this Dr. West is only on reading skill, that was emphasized a lot in the Dr. West new method. So, the reading skill can be developed through loud reading, silent reading as well as the faster reading. These are the three types of readings. Once the child is, once the learner is reading the textbook with the loud voice, we can assess how the child is reading and how exactly the word is pronouncing. That part is very comfortable for the reading. And coming to the silent reading, if the reader or the learner is reading the textbook, if it is through silent reading, definitely the teacher cannot monitor the student. As the teacher, they feel that they are reading with silent reading. This is not affordable for the reading skill, to develop the reading skill. Whereas, coming to the faster reading, even for faster reading like silent reading also, it is not easy to monitor by the teacher. So, it is a great difficult to monitor the student. So, these are the major limitations by this Dr. West new method. So, these are the different methods right now we discussed, and one more part is we are talking about the techniques. So, this is also one of the part of teaching English language. So, here the techniques make teaching and learning easier and more interesting. So, by following these techniques or the practical devices which are very effective in accomplishing immediate objective. So, here based on the topic we can create the classroom as very effective and very interesting by creating certain situations or by creating some techniques. So, these techniques make teaching and learning easier and more interesting. So, the techniques like very simple techniques we can follow within the stipulated time period. So, here the techniques are the practical devices. So, the techniques are the practical devices which are very effective in accomplishing the immediate objectives. So, here the techniques make the teaching and learning easier and more interesting. So, here the techniques are the practical devices which are very effective in accomplishing the immediate objective. So, here we can follow certain techniques and a simple techniques within our classroom teaching or within our classroom activity. So, here all our classroom activities are techniques of teaching. Just here we are going to know few techniques like oral presentation, role play, pair group, dialogue, use of substitution table, and by following language games. So, here just we look into the techniques. So, the oral presentation. For example, you want to tell as a language part, you want to introduce a moral or the ethical values to the students. Definitely it should be in the form of oral presentation. If you want to give information towards any ethical or moral stories, that time you can take help of oral presentation. So, if your presentation is in the form of oral, definitely the student will concentrate on you what exactly you are going to tell. So, I think the storytelling is very good example for the oral presentation. Once the story was understood by the student, definitely they are coming to know what exactly the story is talking about, what is the moral in the story and what is the ethical in the story. These all will be very clear in the classroom. So, this is a simple technique by following this oral presentation. So, for example, if you want to teach any moral or ethical values or the rules and regulation to the student, we can't teach the student for sitting in the classroom and dictating the notes or explaining from the textbook. They may not feel comfortable. If these type of oral and moral as well as the ethical values we can explain or we can clearly give instruction to the students with the oral presentations. Coming to the role play. If you are going to teach the students as a drama like Shakespeare, that will be clearly explained in the form of role play. So, exactly what are the characters are there in the role play, that we have to allot for each and every student. So, that every student is going to take as very serious what exactly the role in that. So, that it is making all the students as very active. So, every child is going to take initiation to participate in that. So, the role play is very important one, otherwise by conducting a mock parliament in the classroom, or one has to act as a prime minister, the other one has to act as different ministers like this. So, what happens automatically, this role is making the student to share their knowledge whatever they have and whatever the feeling they have, that should be clearly explained within the classroom among the peer group. And the next one, pair work. Whatever the work they are going to do, if it is individual work, definitely it is going to benefit to the student, and some assignments or some projects we can give to the students as a pair work, means 2 or 3 members can go for the work and they have to finish. So, by this technique what happens, the understanding among the group is going to be developed. So, that what exactly the other group is doing, within the group how many are actively participating, how many are taken initiation to accomplish the goal, these all will be very clear by following some techniques. Next one is dialogue. So, here we have we are teaching English language in the poetry, prose as well as looking into the drama or the non-detail. So, here whatever the characters are there in the prose part, so that we have to create or assign some dialogues to the students. So, when the situation comes, whatever the dialogue is given to the student, they have to react for that and they have to express their views. Coming to the next part, use of substitution table. So, we have to create such type of situations or the techniques in the classroom, then definitely these situation will create the technique will create the substitution table as very effective one. By creating some language games within the class. For example, if we had given any language game to the student like word puzzles, or we can give some other examples like which are the hidden words. So, based on that, the missing letters, these are different games, and sometimes we can make the student to act as different letters. So, within this, if one student was left over and who should be added with that. So, these are the simple techniques within the classroom, within the 45 minutes we can arrange and make the classroom as very effective one. So, here the intention of the language teacher should be making all the listeners or all the learners with the active participation for the 45 minutes. To make our classroom as very effective, here we can make the classroom students as different groups. So, by giving some assignments or by giving some project work or with the problem solving we can assign them, or we can maintain the classroom as very effective, which is more interested to the student. So that the student is going to know, or they are going to learn in the joyful learning, then they will not feel any burden of learning the English language. So, these are the different situations or the techniques which we can follow in the classroom. Coming to the remedial teaching. So, here the learners are central in the learning process. So, these are the target of the classroom is only the learner. So, in this remedial teaching, learner or central part or crucial in the learning process. So, this remedial teaching is not revising the topic or taught repeatedly. So, looking into these features of remedial teaching, remedial teaching is not reteaching, or it is highly specific and need based. So, the remedial teaching is not reteaching, or it is highly specific and need based. It is a crash course. The remedial teaching is a crash course. So, a test at the end of the remedial teaching will be conducted. So, here a test at the end of the remedial teaching will be conducted, and not to interfere with new teaching. So, here there is no interference of the new techniques, only already whatever they know, that only they are going to discuss. So, here we can go for one example, like as a part of this remedial teaching, or the here just I will give an example. For example, if the language teacher is allotted or appointed for the 9th class, okay, the language teacher or the English teacher is appointed for the 9th class. So, in the first day when he enter into the class, he expects that already they learned in the 8th class. So, whatever the basic needs were there to the language teaching or grammatical part, already the teacher having some idea, these all the concepts are with the students of the 9th class, already they studied in the 8th class. That was the perception, or the within a mindset they entered into the classroom. So, once that teacher entered into the classroom, is having some imagination in the mind, they know the basics. Okay. So, when he started teaching the 9th class syllabus or the 9th class grammatical structure, what is prescribed in the exact curriculum, the student response is not up to the mark what he expected before entering into the class. Once he posed a question, or by giving some grammatical structure, he come to know that the student were not up to the mark, they are not perfect learners in 8th class, something was missing, he thought that. Okay. Then, so what the teacher has to do here? So, immediately he can't teach the student of 8th class, because the time is stipulated for 9th class. So, in the simultaneously he can't teach 8th and 9th classes, as well as he can't ignore 9th class and he can't teach 8th class in the same time. So, these are the problems with the teacher. So, he is having question mark on his mind, because what I have to teach and how I have to teach, because they do not have proper awareness on the 8th class. So, immediately this is not the time to teach, because within the 45 minutes whatever the syllabus is given, that he has to finish. But the drawback is here the student were not perfect with the 8th class grammatical part. Okay. So, here the teacher has to go for already we discussed the remedial teaching is not the reteaching, means here 8th class he is not going to teach again, and he can't give a gap to the 9th class. So, here he started with the teaching of 9th class as usual, he started teaching 9th class syllabus as usual, and as well as coming to the 8th class syllabus, whatever is there in the middle, or when he is having an idea without knowing the student, the teacher is teaching 8th class, without knowing the students, even I am in 9th class, the teacher is teaching 8th class, that should be not realized by the student by taking more examples of what they discussed in 8th class and what is the portion given in the 8th class. Taking help of that, by combining these 8th and 9th, he can teach to the student, because the time is very less, within that period he has to finish. So, that was the condition given to the teacher. So, based on his convenience, based on his possibilities, he is going to teach to the student. So, this is a remedial teaching, means here the remedial teaching is not the talking about the reteaching. Here the teacher is not teaching 8th once again, okay, just only his focus is on the central part is the student. So, his intention is the student should learn. So, the remedial teaching is not revising the topic taught repeatedly. So, the features coming to this is this is not reteaching, and this is highly specific and need based, and it is a crash course. So, with a short period the teacher is teaching combining 8th and 9th class. So, here the major focus is on completing the syllabus as well the test. It is not to interfere with new teaching. So, here the student should not feel already we are learning 8th class syllabus, but that they should not feel that, and it should not interfere with the new teaching. These are the precautions should be followed in the remedial teaching. Next one is reciprocal teaching. So, in this reciprocal teaching, here we have to it was introduced by Palinsky in the year 1986. So, the reciprocal teaching is an instructional strategy based on modeling and guided practice, in which the teacher first models a set of reading comprehension strategies and then gradually make the learners responsible for these strategies. So, the reciprocal teaching consists of with 3 main components. So, the reciprocal teaching was introduced by Palinsky in the year 1986. So, this is an instructional strategy based on modeling and guided practices. So, by this it is consisted with the 3 main components. The first component of reciprocal teaching was the teaching and learning of specific reading comprehension. So, the teaching and learning of specific reading comprehension means whatever they are reading, that should be with the comprehension, that should be understood by the learner, as well as whatever the text they are reading, that should be understood by the teacher to deliver or deliver to the learners in a proper way. So, the comprehension is very important one, whatever they are reading, then only we can have the interest, we will come to know what exactly the reading is talking about. So, the dialogue between a teacher and learner were the teacher modes. So, here in between we have the dialogue with the teacher and the learner. So, here when we talk about models like why and when, these all the terms we can use. So, by this here we can say that we have to follow some rules and regulations in the in this reciprocal teaching. The teaching and learning of a specific reading comprehension strategies, and the dialogue between a teacher and the learner were the learner models, why, where and when to use this reading comprehension, where, when and why we have to use this reading comprehension strategy. The next point is talking about the appropriating of the roles of the teacher by the learners, that is the learners begin to models the reading comprehension strategies for other learners. So, here the goal of the reciprocal teaching for learners to learn reading comprehension strategies and learn how to use the strategies and become self-regular and use of these strategies. So, here the dialogue between the teacher and the learner were the, here we have to focus on why we are reading that and when we have to represent that one and where we have to represent, that should be very clear, should be given by the teacher. And the next point is focusing on appropriating of the role of teacher by the learner. Here the teacher's role should is very important one, and it is very crucial. The teacher as well as the learner, they have to place an appropriate role in the as per this method or the reciprocal teaching is a it is nothing but the reading technique which is taught to promote students reading comprehension. So, here the reciprocal teaching is very important one while reading the text or whatever we are reading, which may be in the form of article or journal or whatever it may be. So, that should be with the comprehension, that should be created understanding or the interest. So, that this teaching is a reading technique which is taught to promote students with the reading comprehension. So, the reciprocal teaching provides students with 4 specific reading strategies. So, it is focused on 4 specific reading strategies. These reading strategies, the other form was comprehensive strategies, because all the times the reciprocal teaching is focusing on comprehension, reading comprehension. So, with this we have come to know that there were 4 specific reading strategies or comprehensive strategies. The first comprehensive strategy in reciprocal teaching was questioning, summarizing, clarifying and predicting. So, the first comprehensive strategy is talking about questioning. So, here as a learner, they must have a question in their mind. So, for example, whatever the text they are reading, definitely each and every text should be very clear to the student or the learner while they have an attitude of questioning. So, here in general we have a study that by the psychologist, around a normal child can pose the question per day around 300 to 400 questions per day. So, that it is showing the interest of the individual. So, the more probing of questions is going to lead or it is going to give more information to the student. So, that they are coming to know lot of information. So, the first strategy is questioning. So, all the times we have to encourage the students to probe the questions, and the same time the teacher must be in a position to give clarification to the raised question by the learners. And the next one, summarizing. So, here this is also one of the important one, whatever they had gone through the textbook or reading skill, that should be summarized. Then only they are coming to know how to represent that and what way we have to represent. These all will be very clear to the learners while summarizing concept. Coming to the clarifying. So, once they have the habit of questioning and having the capacity of summarizing, which here to summarize the process they can go for skimming or scanning strategies, which we can use for as a part of this study skills and reference skills. So, once this is very clear to the student, definitely they can go for the clarification of that particular question or that particular concept. So, the clarifying is very important for the comprehensive strategies. The proper clarification should be given. And the next one is predicting. Whatever they learn, just they should have an forecast, which is nothing but hypothesis or the prediction or what may be. It is like a wild guess. So, the prediction should be there with the student. Means here the questioning strategy as well as summarizing and clarifying, these 3 comprehensive strategies are making the child to frame their own predictions, because already they have the subject with them, they know information about that particular problem. So, based on this experience they can predict the situations and they can explain the situations. So, in the next technique we are talking about reflective teaching. So, this is also one of the technique we can follow in the language teaching. So, this reflective teaching was introduced or defined by John Dewey in the year defined the reflection as thinking. So, his concept was majorly focusing on thinking. So, here in this reflective practice, it is a strategy for continuous improvement of an action. So, as per this reflective teaching, it is in a practice. The reflective teaching is a practice and it is a strategy for continuous improvement of an action. It is a continuous improvement of an action. So, looking into the features of this reflective teaching, reviewing relevant or the existing research, gathering new evidences, analytical skills and evaluative skills. So, the first feature is talking about reviewing relevant or existing research. So, here the learner or the receiver should be in a the student should be in a position to go for the review, whatever the relevant information is there, they have to go on for the review. Based on these reviews, what exactly the present situation and what are the researches were taken place for the present scenario. These all will be looked after by the reflective teaching. The next one is gathering new evidences. So, by reviewing so many books with the relevant topic, and looking into so many researches were there based on the topic, they come to know or by gathering new evidences. So, these review and existing research are making to go for the new gatherings of the evidences. The next one, analytical skills. So, once in the reflective teaching, if they have any doubt or if they committed any mistake, definitely these analytical skills are making or developing the or strengthening the learner in learning the drawback or what they committed the mistake. So, the analytical skills. And the next one is evaluative skills. So, based on this evaluation, in what way they performed all those areas and how to pronounce and how to present, these all will be very clear as a part of these evaluative skills. So, based on these 4 features, this reflective teaching is going to become as an effective one. So, here according to 𝗳𝗏 𝗏𝗃𝗃, reflection referred to an activity in which an experience is recalled, considered and evaluated. So, according to 𝗳𝗏, reflection refers to an activity, it is an activity in which an experience is recalled, already they have the experience that is going to be recalled and considered and evaluated. So, this Richard had given reflective teaching and which is talking about the reflective teaching and activity, means here the learner on their own they have to perform the activity, they have to perform the skill. So, based on this activity, this is going to give an experience to the learner, and based on this experience, whatever the mistakes they committed as a part of the activity, these are going to be recollected and recalled and considered and evaluated. So, that the learner is going to know where exactly they are lagging. These will be very clear to the reflective teaching. So, in the process of reflective teaching supports the development and maintenance of professional expertise. So, this reflective teaching is making or giving support as well as giving development and maintain of professional expertise. So, the reflective teaching is very useful for the professionals to become as expertise. So, as a part of talking about the teacher, it is a profession. So, in this profession, to get perfection with this skill or the reflective teaching, before doing this reflective skill, we have to look into the micro skill. So, the micro teaching, before reflective teaching, we have to go for micro teaching. So, here the teachings were with the different micro teaching and macro teaching. So, this micro teaching is meant only for 5 to 7 minutes. This is only meant for 5 to 7 minutes, as well as the learner or the student is going to evaluate it only for 5 to 7 minutes with the limited skills. Just within 5 to 7 minutes, the student is going to perform only one skill. So, once they have command with these micro skill 5 to 7 minutes, then they are going to shift it to macro. So, in between we have one more skill, that is reflective teaching. So, based on this reflective teaching, and it is giving support and as well as it is giving development and how to strengthen their professional expertises. So, here the reflective teaching is giving a feedback where exactly the student is lagging and what are the skills they have to strengthen and what way they can strengthen their skills. These all will be very clear as a part of reflective teaching. So, here in the initial stages for the especially to teaching profession, directly they can't teach to the students in the schools for 45 minutes, because these 45 minutes they have to maintain the classroom, it is not an easy. So, to make the student as a part of training course, to build confidence among them, as a part of this they have micro teaching. So, this micro teaching is only for 5 to 7 minutes, that will be within the peer group. So, within this peer group again this whatever the skill the learner or the student is performing, that will be evaluated by the or that will be observed by the peer group by having some components. So, based on these components or ratings given by the peer group, then this student is going to overcome the mistakes. So, going to get confidence towards the teaching profession. So, this is a process of micro teaching as well as the reflective and macro teaching. So, once they have command over these 5 to 7 minutes with one skill. So, each and every day they have to perform for few days with one skill, they linked with only one skill. So, once the trainee or the learner is in a position to perform for 5 minutes, definitely they will have command over the remaining skills. So, that they can maintain 45 minutes as very comfortably with the student. So, this is a basic for the especially for the teaching profession, to make them expertise with the teaching profession. So, here while doing this reflective teaching, here the peer group has to follow certain suggestions. So, in this each participant would both observe and be observed. So, here for example, the student 1 is performing the skill. So, automatically the peer group or 5 members or 6 members will be observed this individual. Okay. So, here the observation will be taken place with the peer group. When the other group, the other member of the same group is going to perform the skill, then these person, the first person is going to be observed. So, here these is going to give some suggestion towards the peer. And the next one, peer observation orientation sessions. So, in this we have to follow some sessions. So, based on the sessions, there will not be have any clash between all these orientation sessions. So, the peer observation orientation sessions will be there. These all based on the methodology wise. If the student is belonging to, the trainee is belonging to English subject or English class, then the program schedule or the sessions will be allotted for them. And the next one, as a part of this observation. So, this is also one of the important role which will be taken place as a part of this reflective teaching. So, the observation will be done by the peer group as well as with the teacher, So, based on these observations, whatever the suggestions were given by the experts or the subject experts, they have to implement and try to practice. And the next suggestion is talking about post observation. So, this post observation, after completion of their reflective teaching, what are the benefits or what way they overcome their drawbacks and what way they rectified their mistakes. These all will be available in the post observation. In this sheet we have pre observation and the post observation. So, the pre observation, at the time of practice it is going to observe. After completing all the sessions, the orientation sessions, then we have to look into the post observations, which is nothing but what way I developed my skills, and what are the developments were taken place and how can I rectify my mistakes. These all will be post observations. These are the major suggestions for peer observations. Before entering into now we will discuss few points about these different techniques. So, just looking into the text part of we discussed already the different methods, approaches and techniques. So, these all making the classroom as very effective classroom. In the same time, whatever the content as a language teacher they want to deliver to the student, that should be delivered in a proper way. If there is no proper planning, automatically the communication or the subject may not teach to the students in a proper way. So, here by following certain rules and regulations or by preparing some structures or by giving more assignments to the students as well as by looking into peer group observations and based on the teacher explanations, and these all the different experiences as a student or as a teacher teaching and in the process of teaching learning they must overcome. So, within these we have to follow certain simple techniques, means here some situations within the classroom we can create. So, whatever the possibilities, for example, all the topics may not explain to the students in a while taking help of charts or pictures or models or other areas. So, here the TLM is not possible for all the topics or all the related information. So, for such cases we can depend on the situations or by following some techniques. For example, as a language teacher, especially the English, the intention is developing more vocabulary to the students as well as framing accurate and correct sentence formation. So, here this will be possible only through the regular practice. So, just the classroom, in the classroom the teacher has to create a comfortable environment with a joyful learning, so that the child will come to know what exactly they want to express. So, here never the child should not feel I am in English class, means here the language should not become as a barrier to express. So, maximum they must be in a position to focus on try to speak in English. So, based on that they have to assess. So, this is a 45 minutes of English class, in what way I can use my English words, that should be encouraged by the language teacher. So, these all some suggestions to make our English classroom as very effective classroom. At the same time, by looking into this, we can, there were so many chances for getting the questions in the methods, approaches and techniques for the examination point of view. So, approach. So, approach is a word which was introduced by Anthony E. M. So, Anthony E. M. Anthony E. M. was introduced the term approach. Anthony E. M. was introduced the word approach. So, what is the year of Anthony introducing the word? That is 1965. So, in the year 1965, Anthony E. M. was introduced the term approach. And next, what is a method? So, the method is an overall plan and it is somewhat the development process for the approach. So, it is an overall method is an overall plan. Okay. So, what are the different approaches? So, different approaches like structural approach, situational approach, communicative approach, eclectic approach. So, here we have one term, that is SOS. So, the SOH, SOS, that is one short form for the approach. And coming to this how this English language was introduced and from which century. So, this is the English language was introduced by the Britishers from the 16th century, from 16th century. Why the Britishers came to India? That is for trade purpose. And what is the major intention of introducing English for Indians? For what purpose they want to make the English language as compulsory for Indians, especially that is only for the trade purpose, especially for the trade purpose, because they came here for the trade purpose, automatically they are concentrating on Indians. Okay. So, here there was a great drawback with these Britishers to Indians was the language. So, the language was a major barrier. Based on that, they selected few people, and had given training to them in English language, so that it is going to become the communication very comfortable for their business part. So, later everybody coming to know the importance of English language and what way it is going to develop India and all those. By the 18th and 19th century, so many committees and commissions were introduced to introducing English, especially in school level, high school level as well as the university level. So, based on this, in the year 1835, there was an expert or the educationalist Charles Woods. So, in the 1835. So, these Woods was approached, William Bentinck was approached this Woods with a proposal, as well as William Bentinck approached this Lord Macaulay as well as Raja Ram Mohan Rai with a proposal of, with an appeal of introducing English in India, with an appeal of introducing English in India. Okay. So, and the next one is and by the year 1853, there was a report, English should be introduced in India. By the 1853, the English was introduced, and later the commissions and committees were focused a lot on the importance of English language. So, right now we are talking about the development of the nation. So, the English language is taking a crucial role as a part of development of the nation. And ELT, the abbreviation ELT, English language teaching, ELT, English language teaching. So, who submitted report to Lord Dalhousie? Who submitted report to Lord Dalhousie? The Charles Wood. Charles Wood submitted a report to Dalhousie. So, the Wood's dispatch year is 1835. Next one, GTM, grammar translation method. So, especially this was initiated, or this was suitable to teach which languages? The grammar translation method is more suitable to teach for which languages? That is Sanskrit and Arabic. Sanskrit and Arabic, these two languages were more comfortable to teach grammar translation method. And here we can have one more term, COST, 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 the communication oriented structural teaching, the communication oriented structural teaching, COST, cost. And one more, Dr. West produced a list of around 2000 words. Dr. West produced around 2000 most frequently used words, most frequently used form of a corpus of 10 million words. And the same time Dr. West had given one more part, that is he had given a ratio. He had given a ratio. For every 50 words we have to use one new word, that is 1:50 ratio we have to maintain. And the next one is talking about as per which method, the question may be as per which method the learner focus more on reading and memorizing the text. So, as per which method learner focus more on reading and memorizing the text, that is grammar translation method. So, what is the major intention of the direct method? So, what it is focusing? The major direction intention of the direct method is reading, giving more importance for the reading. And what is the intention behind Dr. West's new method? Dr. West method. So, as per his hypothesis, he thought that the Indian should be get thorough with the reading skill. So, once they have thorough with the English reading skill, definitely it is going to helpful for the oral skill or speaking skill. That is one of the intention. And by looking into the techniques, here we have reflective teaching, reciprocal teaching and remedial teaching. These are the different types of techniques, as well as we can create a few simple techniques within the classroom to make the language classroom as very effective. So, like creating different types of environment in the classroom by giving some tasks to the students, as well as by giving some meanings to the students. And whereas coming to the other techniques, like we can create the questioning as well as dialogues, and the next one is role play and language games. So, these all making the student to engage with the language learning with an active participant. So, as we have the education system, like intention is more towards the development of the language skill, especially English language. So, once we are following simple techniques among the classroom, definitely all the learners were going to be benefited, the exact aim or the goal of the objective will be satisfied. So, these are the simple techniques. So, here for especially our intention is the professional of the teaching profession is very important one. For that we have to follow certain rules and regulations in incorporating or encouraging the students toward the peer group or the within the classroom or outside the classroom. So, whatever they learn in the classroom, the subject part or grammar part or other the general issues, that should be delivered whatever the situation they are facing, and when it is required, where it is required, and why it is required. These all will be very clear to the students. So, based on this we can have the importance of methods, approaches and techniques. Thank you.